Thank you, Dr. Ellis, for your time and for your flexibility with my schedule as well. So I appreciate you being my chair, and I think you're chosen wisely because of your own background. So thank you, Dr. Ellis, for being here. So my dissertation proposal defense is entitled Innovations for Math Remediation and Outcomes for Students. So the agenda of today's proposal, I will state the problem, the purpose of the study, the significance of it, an overview of literature review, the conceptual framework I'll be utilizing, the research questions, and the methodology and research design. So first of all, the problem that I'm addressing in this dissertation is that there's a national crisis in the United States. And specifically, that crisis is that student success rates in remedial mathematics education. So the national rates of remediation are a significant problem. So as I've indicated up here, that 40 to 60% of first-year college students require remediation in either English, math, or reading. And in this dissertation, I'm focusing on mathematics. So unfortunately, though, very few of these students placed in remedial math ever complete their college level math course required to graduate. A vast majority of them do not move beyond these courses and into college credit courses. So on-time completion rates consistently fall below 10%, according to the Alliance for Excellent Education 2011. And not only is this an impact on students, but it's an impact upon the public as well. So it's a national financial problem. Jimenez in 2016 estimated approximately $5.6 billion that is spent within the school years 2007 to 8 for the needs for remediation. And in 2016, Barche indicated that the United States ranks near the bottom among 35 industrialized nations in mathematics. Oops, wrong direction. So this isn't just a nationwide problem, but making it closer to home, looking at Long Beach City College, we could see here in these graphs, the first graph is from 2008 to 2015, the percentage of students who placed into remedial math. So as you can see, it went from 79% up to 88%, and then it lowered down to 75% in 2015 due to the multiple measure placement, which reduced the number of students placed in remedial math, but it's still an astounding high percentage. And not only are they being placed in remedial math, but I mentioned earlier that one of the problems is the success rate in terms of the throughput rate. So, sorry, going through here. So the throughput rate is the percentage of students who start at a particular level of remedial math who successfully complete a transfer level. So if you can see from the slide here, Math 805 is the lowest level of math, it's basic math, and up to Math 130, which is intermediate algebra. The lower that students start, the lower the throughput rate. So Math 805 only had 1% of students actually getting through a transfer level math course. In Math 130, increased to 26%, but that's still a really low percentage of students getting to college level math. And being a math professor, that's really sad for me.
Yes, isn't that? Yeah.
So the purpose of the study is to identify and examine the innovations that are taking place at Long Beach City College's remedial math programs, and to measure the extent of these innovations and its effectiveness from the years 2013 to 14 to 2017 to 18. So a 5-year span. Long Beach City College has had some studies before that, but it was very short-lived. And we're trying a lot of different things at Long Beach City College to improve the success rates. But there's been so many innovations, and not many of them have been studied, and we just kind of like stop and end programs randomly without really any proof of evidence of why we're doing what we're doing. The significance of the study is both on a micro and on a macro level. On a micro level, I would like to give quantitative evidence of the effectiveness of innovations so that we can continue doing certain things or stop doing other things. And the byproduct of that is really to increase student success. to get them through the transfer level math courses. AB 705 is a policy that's recently come out that will be mandated within very shortly, and it will affect our funding as well. So we are on a timeline of making sure that we have programs that actually are worth our time. On a macro level, because this is not just a local problem, it's a nationwide problem, I believe this research will contribute to the literature that's already existing about remedial education, and to provide information for practitioners and improvement practices and policies for other schools that might be similar to Long Beach City College. So the literature review, this is an overview of it. In my literature review, I will be talking about the history and the background of math remediation. Where did it come from? When did it first start? Why was there a need for it back in history? The challenges that math remediation has, and as a result, the national initiatives that have given attention to this problem. So there's many national initiatives. I've chosen 4 in particular to write about: Achieving the Dream, Developmental Education Initiative, Center for the Analysis of Post-Secondary Readiness, and lastly, the Dana Center Mathematics Pathways. I chose these 4 partly because they're very well known and they probably made the most impact in the nation. I also will do a literature review about some of the innovations that have been occurring in remedial mathematics, specifically with the use of technology like Alex, My Math Lab, different web-based technology that people have used, math pathways, which is growing in popularity, and co-requisites. The conceptual framework I'll be using is the Dana Center Mathematics Pathways, the 4 principles that they use. And the 4 principles are: 1, that all students, regardless of college readiness, enter directly into math pathways aligned to their programs of study. Secondly, that students will complete their first college level math requirement in their first year of college. And that's pretty extraordinary because prior to this, students might take 2 or 3 years before they even get to a college credit class. So due to AB 705 as well, this aligns with the current policies. Number 3, strategies to support students as learners are integrated into courses and are aligned across the institution. And lastly, the instruction incorporates evidence-based curriculum and pedagogy. The research question that is going to be driving this study is really what are the comparative success rates between traditional remedial math courses versus innovative remedial math courses at Long Beach City College, and then specifically looking at the 5-year span that I mentioned. And to talk about success rates, we're going to be measuring 3 specific things: the students that pass the course, or the rate of success passing, the rate of persistence, meaning the subsequent enrollment in the next math course to even get there, and then thirdly, successful completion of a college credit math course in 1, 2, or 3 years. And I'll be comparing these success rates with traditional courses that don't use any innovation. And the hypothesis that I have, looking at Long Beach City College, one of their innovations that incorporates a lot of the Dana Center principles are the 8-week compressed course at Long Beach City College. These 8-week courses, one, they're compressed in a shorter amount of time, but they also use Alex, they use technology, and they're trying to get students through a much faster rate than a normal class. So my hypothesis is that remedial math courses offered an 8-week compressed course at Long Beach City College will have a higher pass rate, higher subsequent enrollment rate, and a higher completion rate in traditional, compared to traditional 16-week remedial math courses. So that's what I think will happen, but we will see after the end of the research to see if there's any difference. The methodology and research design I'll be using is a quantitative one. I'll be using ex post facto causal comparative design, and ex post facto means it's Latin for after the fact. So both the initial data and the after treatment data have already occurred and thus are studied in retrospect. In other words, students have already finished the semester. They've already, and I'm analyzing data from previous 5 years, not current or future. And causal comparative, I'm doing that because it's a study to find a relationship between independent and dependent variables to see if there's any effect between one and the other. So in this quantitative study, two groups are compared. The two groups being the classes that are only 8 weeks and the classes that are 16 weeks. And my goal is to determine whether the independent variable affected the outcome by comparing these two groups. I'm going to be using the t-test statistical analysis because t-tests are for independent samples, and it's pretty straightforward just to answer, is there an effect upon one or the other? And the SPSS program will be used to analyze the data and yeah, because I'll be getting, I did talk to IE and they said they'll be giving me 10 years worth of data of all the students at Long Beach City College. So I'll need a pretty advanced program to pare down the information.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was a little bit overwhelmed by all the information he was going to give me, and I'll just need to have to go through all that. And SPSS is a program that I decided to use.
Good idea.
Not doing it just by Excel and by hand.
Yeah.
I keep losing my mouse whenever I do this. And with a little bit more specifics, the data collection will come from the Institutional Effectiveness Office at Long Beach City College. The population will be 4 level of remediation courses at Long Beach: basic math, pre-algebra, beginning algebra, and intermediate algebra. The 2 groups of students are the non-traditional remediation math class and the traditional remedial math class from the years 2013-14 to 2017-18, so 5 years. And again, the student success outcomes will be measured by the pass rate of the course, the persistence to the next course, and the throughput of successful completion of college credit math course within 1, 2, or 3 years. So I spoke about the dependent and the independent variables. So just to be more specific about that, the dependent variables are the success pass rates, the persistence rate, and the throughput rate. And the independent variables, there will be 2 levels of independent variables. So the first one are remedial math class that utilize an innovation. And the one that I'm focusing on are the compressed 8-week classes that utilize ALEX. And actually all the 8 weeks classes utilize ALEX at Long Beach City College, versus a traditional 16-week class that doesn't have any innovation that's identified. So just to put it in a graph, the independent variables and then the dependent variables, the blue or the left column will be the independent variables, and the right column, the right 3 columns are the dependent variables. And with these 4 level or four types of classes, so I'll be collecting data on that. And that's level 1, and then level 2 will be the traditional 16-week classes. So I'll be collecting data on those 4 classes with those dependent variables. And I would like to, do I have time? It's 20? Okay, so I do recognize that there are other factors that determine that can affect a student's success in a math class, not just the innovations. So it's the causal comparative design doesn't necessarily say it's a cause effect thing. It's just saying that there might be a correlation between the two. And I do recognize that there's limitations and there's other confounding variables, such as, say, who's the teacher that's teaching it, or maybe a student's work schedule or things like that. So I do recognize that there are other variables to this, but due to the inability to consider all factors and all variables, I'm just focusing on the ones that I can measure and collect data on. And that's it. Thank you.
Nice job. So I have one quick question about this last. I agree with you on the 16-week and 8-week. So
yes.
on the 8-week, there's a number of faculty teaching the 8-week. Is that correct? Not just
yes. Not just one.
Yeah. So that makes it, you get rid of some of that confounding variable of faculty by that, because you're using all of the 8-week courses and all of the 16 weeks. So that's going to help you